I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about, will they mistake my silence for indifference?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into it, I did want to say that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. So if you would like to go over your situation with one of us, you can do so by booking on the website.
Yes, and you know, one of the things that's so scary about going into no contact is thinking that your ex is going to feel like you don't care.
Especially if you were avoidant in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even the anxious people are very afraid that if I go no contact, they're going to think that I moved on. They're going to think that I don't want another chance. They don't think that I care about them. Mm-hmm. It's normal to feel those things and to worry about those things.
Yeah. I say especially for partners who were neglectful, because that's something that comes up a lot. After the fact, they feel the need to prove to their partner that they can be attentive. But you're right, even for those who are more anxious, that comes up too. Because they've been working so hard in the relationship, most likely, to meet their partner's needs.
And they might be with an avoidant who has blamed them for the breakup. Mm-hmm. Even though they were a relatively good partner, an avoidant might be looking for a reason to get out. So they blame him for the breakup. And the anxious person's like, oh my God, I did these horrible things.
Yeah.
Even though the anxious person was the better partner in the relationship.
Yeah, that does happen.
So it's tough.
It is tough.
You get so scared that you can't think clearly about anything. You're just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't want them to think I don't care. If they think I don't care, then they won't give us another chance.
Yeah. And it's hard because there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know with 100% certainty what is going on in your ex's mind or how they're interpreting whatever you're putting out there. So we figured we would make this video to provide some of this clarity, talk about a situation that you can also think about your own personal situation with.
Yeah, so we got a good email coaching that we're going to get into in a second, but let's talk about this for a minute, because it's really important to understand that when two people are in a relationship, they're both choosing to be together. You both wanted to be with each other. You both said, let's be exclusive, and you've decided that you want a commitment to each other. If somebody decides they no longer want to be in the relationship for whatever reason, the strongest thing that you can do is to respect that decision and to leave them alone. Mm-hmm. Because that is the last thing that they're going to expect you to do. And in some way, they don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's interesting because you try and talk to them about it, you try and repair it, and they just get more guarded. But on some level, if you let go and walk away, that also scares them, right?
Right. And your pursuit for clarity, for wanting your message to be clear to them, can overwhelm them and can also stifle some of that anxiety that's healthy for it to build up in them to be curious about you. So we want them to feel uncertain about whether you are going to stay or go in order for them to think about this relationship differently and at some point revisit things. So if you are giving them so much clarity about, I'm going to be here for you and be here for you no matter what, forever, that gives them that perfect safety blanket to where they don't have that same type of, I could lose this person and I need to make some sort of decision here.
Yeah. So if you're in a situation, whether you're anxious or avoidant, and someone has broken up with you, the best thing you can do is say, okay, I totally understand. Maybe you try and get a couple answers, but if they back away and they don't want to give you any, you show them confidence, and confidence is that you can live without them. You leave them alone. Trying to talk to them about it, trying to change their mind, only makes them more guarded, makes them feel like they can't connect with you because you're trying to be like this pushy salesman on them, and it makes them want to back away from you further. So that's the last thing you want to do, if you're in a situation like this, right? So you're thinking, okay, if I go no contact, are they going to think I don't care about them anymore? Now, to be honest with you, this is counterintuitive, but that's what you want to happen. Okay? Why? Why would you want somebody to think that you don't care about them? Because that anxiety makes them want to repair things with you. Now, I know logically it doesn't make sense, especially when you're going through a breakup, but I can assure you, we've done this for a long time, and we see this over and over again. You want to show someone, you're just going to respect them and leave them alone. And you're going to let them sit with that silence. You're going to let them suffer not knowing if they're going to lose you. Think about how anxious you get over losing them. Think about that feeling. We want them to have that feeling. And the only way you're going to get them to feel the same way is by leaving them alone and letting them worry about you.
Exactly. And having that anxiety build up in them, it's also part of a reality. You don't want to sign up for something based on how you are feeling anxiously in the moment and say that you will be there for them forever when you don't know. You know, you don't want to overpromise just because you're feeling a lot of separation anxiety and just because you want your ex back right at this moment. You have a lot of value. You have a lot that you bring in a relationship. And so those things are worth noting. And like we had said in the beginning, sometimes you might have been the better partner too. So consider all of these things when you're thinking about your situation. Earlier I had said that it can be a healthy thing for that anxiety to build up in them. What I meant was that it's important for them to also see you as an independent person, see you as somebody outside of them that can also make a decision to not come back to them.
And not take you for granted.
Correct.
You want to look at it as an opportunity, okay? We have limited time for opportunities, always in life. Think about it. You have a limited opportunity to apply for a job or, to make something happen. There are often limited time windows for opportunities. And that makes us value those opportunities more, right? Like if you find out there's a job that you really want and it's a limited window or opportunity to get that position, you're going to do whatever you can to quickly try and put yourself in position to get it. Well, you want your ex to see being with you as an opportunity. We don't want them to take that for granted. Like, I can go off and do whatever I want with whoever I want, and you're going to be there waiting for me. That's not going to make them see you as an exciting opportunity. That you're just a backup plan at that point.
Yeah. And what's ironic is that you do hear other coaches talk about this limited window that you have to reattract your ex. But I think it's quite the opposite. A lot of times their grieving process looks very different than yours. A lot of times it takes them some time to really see the consequences of the breakup and to get to the point where they revisit and miss you.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we see is you've actually outgrown them and you actually move on. So it's almost like they have more of that limited time window rather than you having that time window.
That's right. And yes, look, I always encourage you guys when you're in a relationship to be a great partner, to be loving, emotionally attuned, caring, treat them really well. You always want to look back at somebody and think, I was so good to this person, I have no regrets. Now, the more secure and confident you get, the better you're going to be doing those things for your partners, the more emotionally attuned and aware, and the less likely you're going to let your anxiety blow up at them or not hear what their needs are, and all those things that we teach you guys.
Right.
So if you are a great partner, and a lot of times, the avoidant especially will say, you treated me better than anyone else has. How often do you hear that?
So
all the
often.
time.
Yeah.
And it's true. So think about that. If you treated somebody better than anyone else has ever treated them, how is it that they're not losing you? Yet when we're anxious and we have that anxious attachment style, it's hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
But you need to believe it. So you want to see yourself as an opportunity and that they're going to lose the opportunity with you if they don't reach out to you and try and fix this, right?
It's a great way to put it.
So we've got an email coaching today, and it was similar to the theme. I thought this was a good theme for you guys. So let's get into this one. This is a couple in their early 20s. This is from a guy. He said, I'm currently studying and working while she only works. We met in the winter time, but officially started dating a few months later. However, she ended the relationship last month. There were two major issues in the relationship that led to the breakup. The first issue happened when I had to drive to pick her up from work with my mom and sister since I didn't have a driver's license. During the ride, my family asked uncomfortable questions about religion, studies, and work. My ex isn't very religious, and at the time was only working, not studying. To avoid an awkward situation, I made gestures to her, hoping to keep things smooth, as she hadn't explained her reasons for not studying. I see the smirk on your face.
I just understand those tense family situations, and I come from a very loud family and a very direct family. Uh-huh. So sometimes your family will ask questions that you would never in a million years think of nor ask. So I see him being in that situation, kind of being like, all right, tolerate them with me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm smirking, because I could see that it's an awkward situation. And this is one where your partner starts to understand your family culture.
Yeah.
I don't know what culture they're from, but each family has their own little culture. And maybe he had a hunch that his family would be nosy about it. Maybe he was
condescending or looked down upon her. Mm-hmm. And so I think she felt like he was like, no, you want to act like you're this and that so they don't look down upon you. So I think she felt like they were looking down upon her and he wasn't defending that.
I see him trying to soothe her because it's being like, it's an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. He didn't say, hey, mom, hey, dad, these are not things that are appropriate to ask.
Yeah.
Where he could have made that comment, or he could
you're
have
in the moment, you're like, oh.
It's one of those awkward moments where you got to be quick on your feet to think about something.
Yeah. But this actually is a big part of the breakup, you're going to see, or at least according to her. Mm-hmm. A few days later, she told me she didn't appreciate how I handled it. I realized my mistake, and after the conversation, I spoke to my mom and told her the truth about my ex's work and study situation. We had a good few months after that, but in August, she began pulling away. She didn't text much for a week, and I assumed it was due to her period. But then she told me she didn't feel comfortable in the relationship anymore. Still hadn't forgiven me for the lie, and felt pressured by the idea of fitting into my family.
I see. So is she saying that he had lied for her?
It sounds like he was kind of lying about something to smooth it over, and so they didn't think badly about her, and she felt like, well, you don't really accept me for who I am. And he was probably thinking, well, if you just explained why you're not in school.
I see.
I
see, like having to justify it.
Yes.
I see. And she's probably thinking, well, why do you care so much about what your family thinks of me?
Yeah.
Because realistically, later down the line, this does become a real issue for a lot of relationships. We actually talk about it in the course.
Yeah.
Where, parents' opinions about your partner can really cause a lot of tension. And when we think about families and children and grandchildren, the grandparents can start to intervene too much and cause even more tension. So I could see this being something small now, but if she's future-minded, she might be thinking, well, how is this going to play out later down the line? Mm-hmm. Can you defend your family now to your family of origin?
Yeah, exactly. And she was feeling pressured about fitting in with his family. So let's go on, though. She says this hurt her and made her question whether to continue the relationship. She wanted space to find her peace alone. Now, it is interesting, remember, that it was like 3 months ago that happened. So a minor incident happens 3 months ago, and you're still dwelling on it. It's like,
I wonder if she had expressed her discomfort about that to him enough. It sounds like she might have held that in.
Yeah, but let's go on, because I think there's a little bit more he brings up in this email. I tried to reassure her I had already fixed the situation with my family and that I wasn't trying to make her fit into their expectations. I even asked her best friend to talk to her, hoping she would reconsider. See, that's a big no-no, going to the friend. But she didn't change her mind. We spent almost 2 weeks discussing her feelings, and I tried to help her understand that this wasn't a reason to end the relationship. All right, so that's a mistake right there. 2 weeks of trying to talk about a minor incident that happened 3 months ago. To me, that's an avoidant looking for an excuse to get out of it and just staying stuck on that. Well, this thing happened, so I can't change my mind now.
Well, and I can also see the anxious person overcompensating for this quite a bit, and that could make the avoidant person feel a lot more uncomfortable. It sounded like she held these things in for a reason. It sounded like she was trying not to make a big deal about it. She brought it up again. He had this conversation with his family. So now if I were her, I'd be thinking, dang, the next time I see the family, they're going to know the real story. They might think that it's me. She had no control over how that narrative was presented to the family.
But talking about it for 2 weeks was not helping either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I wonder whose thought that was. Or whose initiative
I'm sure
that
it was his. I'm sure it was his.
She might have been a little distant. It might have been difficult for her to get over, and he's drawing more attention to the problem rather than reassuring, rather than,
I think had he just said, look, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that was that important to you, and I'll do my best to make sure I stick up for you in the future. I am proud of you. And just said, but we have to, we can't keep talking about something that happened like that. I mean, I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. It was like a minor incident. It's not like a pattern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to move forward. You can't talk about it for 2 weeks.
Right.
It's going to make an avoidant run. I explained that we could work on it together. See, what is it to work on? There's nothing to work on. It was a minor one-time thing, and he already corrected it. And that if she gave the relationship a second chance, I would do my best to support her through it.
I think he was very triggered by her saying that this might be a thing to end the relationship.
Well, it sounds like she already decided it, and then she spent 2 weeks trying to talk her out of it. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
The second issue occurred when her best friend got involved. I wonder how that happened, probably because you messaged your best friend, right? My ex asked who I told about our breakup, and I mentioned only my therapist and my best friend. However, here we go. I had also spoken to her best friend to seek advice. That's why we tell you, stay away from those friends and family. And to help her see that breaking up over something that had happened months earlier was unfair. Was it unfair? I wouldn't say it's necessarily unfair, but it's you know what I mean? Like, somebody can end the relationship for whatever reason, but it does seem kind of like, why are you ending it over a one-time incident? Made a real effort to change that, acknowledge her feelings, and do something about. And then to use that 3 or 4 months later as a reason for a breakup.
Yeah, I think he might be feeling like he didn't have a chance to correct it sooner. And what I'm seeing here is him trying to control a lot of things.
Yes.
I see even in the situation in the car, he was trying to control his parents' view of her.
Yes.
It seemed like throughout this breakup, he's been trying to, overcorrect and control how she views him.
Yep.
And it's, to me, there's something about maintaining an image here.
Yeah, he's afraid of losing her, and so he's trying to do everything that he can to control it. Yeah.
Right.
And it's making it worse.
And involving the best friend too. It sounds like it was important for him to express his point of view to her best friend, which I'm confused as to why.
Well, he said to change her mind, to give us another chance. I said to the best friend to give us another chance.
That, to me, there's an element of control there.
Yeah, and that's why we say guys don't do that.
And her best friend is her support system.
I did that with the Applebee's girl. I was talking to the sister, the mother, the brother, the neighbor, the guy who mowed the lawn across the street.
And it
the
feels
mailman,
like a violation.
the dog.
Because that is her circle. That's who she goes to for support.
The homeowners association.
The HOA.
Yeah, HOA.
And this is hard because when you're going through a breakup,
her first grade teacher.
Even if she's not going to paint you in a good light, you have to be able to handle that. Her story is going to be her story, and you can't control that narrative. In fact, her being able to divulge whatever she does to her friends and have that support is helpful for her and her mental health. So that's something that you going through a breakup, you have to accept. You know, we can't start digging our fingers into other people's support networks and trying to change their perception. And I wonder, I don't know if this is true, this is my hunch, is that him speaking with her best friend was also to influence the best friend as far as what the best friend might say to her when she starts talking about the situation.
Very good point.
And so that's how I could see her being really upset here, because she didn't even have a voice to the person that's closest to her before you did.
Yeah.
So.
And I must applaud you on ignoring my ridiculousness and continuing to speak as I...
The homeowners association.
Her first grade teacher, her third grade teacher.
That's going to be the next video. Don't reach out to your ex's third grade teacher.
I did it again. No, but I can relate to this feeling of wanting to talk to everybody, you know, and I would be like, I said to her brother, I was like, what, tell her to give us another chance. She goes, I really, you know, it's hard when you love somebody and you want to make it work, but it often really makes somebody angry and upset. Mm-hmm. When my ex found out about contacting the best friend, she became even more upset. I explained that my intentions were to help. No, they weren't. No, they weren't to help. Let's be honest. They were so she wouldn't break up with you. Because I really was embarrassed that she would find out, but she saw it as a breach of trust. No doubt, of course. And she's probably avoiding.
It is a breach of trust.
It is a breach of trust, but an avoidant is going to be really annoyed by that kind of stuff. Later, out of nervousness, I mentioned that she had also made some bad decisions in the past, which I had forgiven her for as examples.
The classic kitchen sink.
Oh, yeah? Well, you also...
Oh, gosh. And when it starts getting into these types of poor communication... Well, you don't get anywhere. You know, because now we're dealing with this other. Oh, well, let me throw in this issue. Now we're dealing with this issue, and so no issue really gets resolved. And it's a dismissive thing to then bring up something else from the past. You know, I know it's tempting because we feel like we're in a courtroom and we have a good point that we want to get across. But Your Honor, this also happened months ago. I get the tendency, right? Yeah. But when we're focusing on one issue, and this is an excellent communication skill, when we're focusing on one issue, keep it to that issue.
He's trying to say, look, well, you made mistakes here too, but I keep trying to work it out with you. Mm-hmm. That's what I think he's trying to secretly, unconsciously say. And so you made mistakes and I still love you and want to be with you, but I make a mistake and you don't want to be with me.
Well,
I think that's what he's trying to...
Yeah, his and her tolerance level don't need to be the same.
That's a good point.
Right.
I felt a lot of pressure that week from our back and forth conversations. I was just trying to be empathetic to her feelings, but she responded explosively. I find it hard that somebody would be explosive to being empathetic. I think there must have been some pressure there.
And this is hard because I'm already seeing so many patterns of, like I had said before, trying to control things. You know, it seems like he's trying so hard to not be seen in a bad light, but in doing so, he's doing things that make him see more in a bad light. You know, like he's reaching out to the friend in order to try to fix things, and then that ends up looking bad. And he's embarrassed about other things, and he's doing other things to cover that up. And so then it just becomes this whole, lie, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
It got worse and worse. Something so small just led to like a huge snowball, didn't it?
Yeah.
I eventually gave her 2 weeks of no contact. A whole 2 weeks?
Time feels like forever when you're going
I know. We got a video of that coming out,
We do.
if it's not out already. Telling her that I would not pressure her and would give her time and space. When she felt ready to talk to me, she could text me again. She told me she already felt pressured. During this time, I've been trying to understand her perspective better. I've encountered conflicting advice from various coaches. Some suggest keeping communication open. Well,
we just have to listen to what she's saying here. You know, in the end, she's saying that she already feels pressured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how is the communication not open? It's not like you said, don't contact me.
Right.
She could contact you if she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. While others recommend going no contact and focusing on personal growth, I've opted for the latter following your YouTube videos and have given her the space that she's needed. I later reached out to her mom. my toes are curling. I'm so I'm like, no. To explain my feelings and to check if my ex had opened up to her about our breakup. Oof.
And this seems like another one of those attempts. It's explaining your feelings to her mother. At what point is her mother responsible for your feelings? Or why would that be necessary for you to show? It almost seems like you're trying to control how her mom views you too.
Yeah, and to get mom on his side. But
Yeah.
he already knew that she got mad about the friend, the best friend. And so you would think he would have been like, I better not do that again. But he's like, nope, gonna do it again.
In fact, closer to home.
Best friend wasn't good enough. I'm going straight to their mother.
And you know what? With our anxiety, it does cause us to think the worst, And so him checking on the mom to check on her about if she's okay, I can understand where that came from.
Sure.
Because you're thinking, oh my gosh, she feels pressured. She's never been like this before. What if she's depressed? What if she's in a life or death type of situation? What if she's, needing some sort of support? You want to do something, especially as an anxious person. But we also have to listen to what she's saying and trust that she's going to be okay. And this is where that control comes in, because being able to let go of control says she's an adult. She has people around her that love and care about her best friend and her mom. And so she will be okay. And even though that's outside of my control, I can trust that it's going to be okay.
Yep. Okay, there's a little more here. Her mom confirmed that my ex shared her feelings and mentioned that she perceives me as someone who could easily lie and that she is still hurt and uncomfortable about what happened in the springtime. Her mom has been supportive and has provided insight into how my ex is feeling, helping me to understand her better. Now I can manipulate much easier, right? I reached out to her mom, not to control the situation, this is his words, but because my ex is very reserved and doesn't seek help easily.
This is where that anxiety comes in. And I've seen situations where people have lost loved ones, for example, where they've been through many hardships in their life, which have caused them to be more hypervigilant and more anxious. And so in situations like a breakup, they, like I had said before, start catastrophizing, thinking the worst, even in some scenarios thinking that their ex has died on the way home. And I understand this fear, not saying it never happens. We care about somebody, we want to make sure that their health and safety is okay, but we also have to have enough emotional self-control to allow them to be free and allow them to be independent. I'm not seeing that here. I'm seeing panic.
Yeah. He's saying it's to be helpful, but no, it's to control the situation. When we're in no contact, she might misinterpret my silence as indifference. I don't think she's going to feel that in this situation at all.
And in fact, I think she'll interpret your silence as peace.
Yeah.
At this point.
Because she's still probably feeling pressured. But her mom has been kind and helping in discussing things with her. Later, when she reached out again, I noticed she was anxious but seemed calm. Okay. There's
also something to this that is a little bit demeaning to her in how he's handling things. Just the whole situation with the parents. Oh, I've talked to my parents on your behalf about your work that we think is not up to par. Now, okay, I'm talking to your mom about your anxiety and your health and how you're doing. It's almost like we're talking about a child here, or like a middle schooler who's struggling with their grades. It's less like we're talking about another adult who has their own free will, who has their own agency.
Yep.
So that's just part of, I know that's not the intention here. I know the intention is to connect.
Yep.
But that's how it's coming across.
Yep.
To me.
She said she thought I wouldn't respond and wanted to end things on good terms. She acknowledged that our last conversation was explosive and didn't want to make me feel bad about our relationship. See, I think the mother was probably like, he really cares about you. He really just wants to be fixing this and blah, blah. I think she's probably like, oh, God, fine, I'll be nice to him, Mom. She thanked me for everything I had taught her and recognized I had been a good partner. He's a good partner, but I'm leaving you over one incident from several months. But it was more than the incident, obviously, as we've really harped on all of these things, that his anxiety has caused him to turn her off. That one little incident really allowed the door to open. Actually, it was like kicked open, with all these anxious behaviors kind of showed themselves.
Yeah.
She even wanted to send me birthday wishes. I told her I appreciated the gesture, but it's best to give each other some space. I asked her how she felt about our relationship after 2 weeks of no contact. Pretty much the same. 2 weeks is not enough for this situation.
It's not a long time, yeah.
She expressed doubts, saying that getting back together might bring the same problems. Yeah. She was still hurt and uncertain if returning was the right choice. I responded simply saying, I'm leaving my door open if you want to talk, with the space and time needed. People change over time, but values remain the same. I'm not asking you to forget, just to give us both the time and space we need. She liked my message with a heart, and we haven't spoken since. I thought to myself that she judges me for my errors and doesn't look to the good times. I spoke that to her mom. That's what he said. You can vouch for me. And told her to try and make her understand. Try and make her understand. Make her! Should I do Antonio's voice? Make her, you gotta make her understand, please. Please, I'm begging you. Was it Antonio?
I think so.
Antonio Sari?
Yeah.
Antonio Sari! That's a character in the Creative Healing course.
Yeah.
You gotta make her understand! We always make bad decisions, and it's not possible to judge and close someone out of a false illusion of me. I don't think she has a false illusion. I think she sees your anxiety that you don't see. And that she didn't like it. I know my ex tends to assume things, and when we're not in contact, she might interpret my actions or silence as indifference.
That's not something we can control. We cannot control if somebody else assumes things of us.
I must control!
We can't, and that's something that's hard, but it's also part of learning emotional self-control, is you cannot control another person's story about you.
Yeah.
They're going to have their opinion. They're going to have their thoughts about you. We can't crawl into their brain and try to rearrange things.
Well,
we have to accept.
He wants desperately her to know, I want to give this another chance. And he's afraid that if he goes no contact, she'll think, oh, he doesn't care. I'm going to find someone else. That's what he's afraid of. So I've been considering, here we go. Strap yourself in. I've been considering sending her small, thoughtful gestures like chocolate with a simple note every 3 weeks, just to let her know I'm thinking of her. Are you cringing behind me? I can't tell.
I am.
I could almost feel it energetically. Were you cringing?
My energy was cringing.
My intention, we know what your intention is. Everybody that's watching this video knows what your intention is. That's the problem. You're afraid that she's not going to think that you don't care, but everybody watching this video can tell how much you want to fix this, including her.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
My intention is to keep communication open without pressuring her. Well, you didn't close communication. I believe that, knowing her, she might assume I don't care if I don't reach out at all, even though I'm giving her space to process her feelings. Now, I'm left wondering how to move forward. I want to reconcile, but I'm not sure how to reestablish trust and communication, especially when she erased all photos of us in social media and the avoidant partner she is. I'm not even sure how those things correlated. I want to reconcile, but I'm not sure how to reestablish communication and trust, especially when she erased all the photos.
Just because those things might seem concrete.
Okay. Yeah, but it's odd the way he wrote that, right?
Well, I see that he is the one assuming a lot of things here.
Yeah.
He's assuming that if she removes all the photos and her being avoidant means that she assumes certain things about him.
Oh, it's Esteban.
Esteban,
not Antonio.
That's what it
Esteban,
was.
sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry, Esteban. I love you.
And to me, this is similar to that idea of when we're socially anxious, we think other people are judging us, but we are judging other people because we are thinking that they're judging us.
Yeah.
And so that's similar to the situation, where he's trying to control the way that she might view him. And in that, he's assuming how she might view him. To me, hearing this, he's made it abundantly clear what his intentions are. He's been wanting to connect with him,
Yes.
with her in so many different ways. And so there's a certain point where you send your message out there, and whether or not the person receives it is not something that you can control. But you've sent that message out there. So it seems like he's thinking, if I do something on a regular basis, this is going to further ingrain in her what I'm trying to say. You know, we cannot control whether or not somebody understands what we're trying to tell them. We can just tell them.
Yep. So he has one last question here, and we've kind of talked about this all the way through the email. How can I bring her back into reconciliation, even though she wanted to end things in good terms, giving us both the time and space to heal? Okay. Well, I think we've kind of talked about that in all of these points, is that you have to leave her alone. And when she comes back, you're going to have to really show her a lot of understanding. I don't think she trusts you. And I don't think she trusts you more than just because of that one incident. But I think there's a lot of small little things that you do because of your anxiety that makes you untrustworthy. You went to her best friend. You went to her mother. You're trying to manipulate her with gifts. You see what I mean? All of those things show that you're untrustworthy in a different type of way.
Right. And I will say, when somebody repeats the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, it's going to make you question whether they're telling the truth more than them just saying it one time confidently.
Yep.
So it sounds like in this, you repeating it over and over and over again, it sounds like you're trying to convince her more than you having that conviction within yourself, saying it once and that being enough.
You have a lot more anxiety than you realize. Okay, and you got to work on that. And for those of you that are watching and are seeing this, look at yourselves and how you may be doing these things or similar behaviors. This is why I highly recommend, if you're relating to this at all, do the Creative Healing course. Esteban, you'll see Esteban in the course. He's great.
It's a great little bit.
Margaret was laughing at that one so much. Remember we showed her that? Yeah, it was a good. The cartoons are a lot of fun. They're trying to help you, enlighten you, so you see these things and you can kind of laugh at those things in yourself and say, oh, wow, I didn't realize I was doing this. I can do something different. And your partners will feel a lot safer and more connected with you than when you're trying to control. And a lot of anxiety means a lot of control, or trying to control, right? All right, so hopefully this one was helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you're ready to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.